Okay, so now let us look at the actual Upanishad shlokas. So the first word here, it starts with Ushan Havai. Havai means that long time ago. This is a used in a more just as like a metaphorical way. Like long time ago. When you start a story, you're telling like a long time ago there was this person. So similarly, like that. Havai. The word who was there? Vajashravasaha. Vajashravasaha means there was somebody who is a son of Vajashrava. So this is how in Sanskrit, sometimes the son is mentioned in just an extra word than the father's name. Vajashrava was the name of the father. That father had a son. And what is the name of the son? Vajashravasa. So this is the relation, kind of very easy way to this father and son. What did he do? Sarva Vedasam Dadhav. He gave away everything, or he is doing something in order to giving away everything. Why? Ushan, he is having some desire in mind, some kind of a aspiration. So that giving away is not that unconditional giving away. He's giving away with some goal in mind, some belief, you can say. He has some belief based on which there is a desire. See, every action for most people is driven by some desire. Something propels them to act in some way. And so here that same thing, Ushan, that word Ushan here. So then, Tasyaha Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. To him, there was a son by the name of Nachiketa. So this is already saying that this person, Nachiketa, is a famous person, or he will become a famous person. He will become a very well-renowned person. Because the Upanishad is actually narrating this, it is saying this story. So Akhyayika, I told you last time, right? It is a story form. This is one of the few Upanishads. It at least starts with a story form. So he had a son, and the son's name everybody knows, like that. What is his name? Nachiketa. His name is Nachiketa. So this is the first one. We will go through the understanding them together. Okay, Tamha Kumaram. To that Tamma Kumaram Santam. So sometimes you have to take few words together to open their meaning. To that, to him, into that son. What was he? He was a Kumara. Kumara means, as I explained, he's a young boy. He's not a teen. He's not a grown up. He's still a young boy. And even though being young, what happened? So Manyata, he started thinking about something. What did he start thinking about? When Dakshinasu Niyamanasu, when the gifts were being brought out, the final gifts, Dakshinasu. Dakshina literally means the south, But in a very common thing, when we explain something, we are actually saying that what is left over or that what is at the end. So like when we sometimes we are studying with teachers, they'll say, see that Dakshina page, meaning that see that last page or see that next page kind of thing. Dakshinasu, that which is at the later part. Dakshinasu Niyamanasu. They were brought, they were got in, they were brought in together. Now what happened? A very strange thing, he explains, has happened. Strange thing means it's not a common thing. It is not something that happens for a young boy. Shraddha Viveshaha. Shraddha awakened in him. So now again, as I mentioned, some words we will have to stop and contemplate a little bit more. Okay, so the first word, as I mentioned, in this, let us take in just in these two stanzas, right? Two shlokas. The first one is the word ocean. See, the whole beginning of this thing starts with ocean. So as I mentioned last time, Ocean means that the desire, there is a karma kanda part, a ritualistic part, the ritualistic part of Vedas. So now actually what happens is, see, many times we think, many people have this wrong deduction. Vedas means only rituals, yajnas and all that, So here that Upanishad is breaking that thing. This person who was doing action based on a ritual which is based on a desire. So it is not like he was doing something out of like some goal to get knowledge, wisdom, and all that. Here was a specific desire. And as long as there is desire, as we were just talking before, you are not qualified for that highest knowledge. So that why is it that desire will not qualify you for highest knowledge? See, one important thing is, when there is a desire, there is that kind of feeling that I am incomplete. I need something to complete me. And this desire is what will kind of cover the knowledge for you, that knowledge of reality. A something finite can have desire. Something which is infinite cannot have desire. So this is a thing, if we have apurnatva, then there is a lot of desires. I want to do something to complete it. I want to, like, even, like what we say, this idea of why in Indian thing the sannyasa is considered the highest ashram. You might think, how can an independent person find happiness, joy? He's incomplete, she's incomplete. So there again, that person, when he has come to that final ashram, has to be self-fulfilled, meaning he has to realize that infinitude. So if there is desire, meaning that is a sign of incompleteness, that knowledge is not complete. And in the Bhagavad Gita also there is this shloka, avrutam jnanam metena jnanino nitya vairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. So that knowledge is covered by what? By desire. That knowledge of self or knowledge of reality is covered by desire. So again, we as I mentioned, we have to start with a more proper way. That desire we start with is first is we are trying to purify the desire. So sometimes yajna is helpful in that thing. So this is what the practices were. You do yajna because you try to purify those desires. You give away, you do this. So this is the methodology. So those who are especially living householder life and all that, you have to do this. You have to give charity. You have to do all that, because that is a way to purify the desires. Do good for others, help others. All this is a good way. But then you have to go beyond the desires. So this is where the Upanishad is now trying to say, now we are going into that segment where desires are not, even the desire of giving away to get something in reward of heavens is not a healthy desire. So that is a first thing we have to understand for the word ocean. So there is that. Sometimes, in the traditional, some places they start with Om Ocean Hawaii also. There is also an indication that now this that sacredness is being brought in. Upanishad starting with that Om. Okay, now the other word Shraddha. Now here he talks about that Shraddha awakens in him. So this what that mantra is now saying, is that in this person, in this young boy, Shraddha aviveshaha, that Shraddha is awakening, flowering of Shraddha, we can say. So see, literally, what is that Shraddha is coming now? Shraddha means his father is also doing something out of Shraddha. His father has, see, if we take it as literal faith, how, like what we say, religious faith, belief, religious belief and faith, then his father has more Shraddha, right? Because his father is giving away everything. So religious way, his father has that Shraddha. But Shraddha doesn't mean that. Shraddha means that here is that there is a clear seeing based on that scriptural knowledge. So like when I can have my knowledge of the Upanishads or knowledge of Vedanta, that becomes a way of seeing for me. And that seeing is even more deeper than what I see. See, if I'm going by the thing that I see, hear, taste, touch, and then only I believe, right? Then we will remain limited to this material world. You know? And then what happens? Then we take the help of some science to tell us, like, if I am seeing the sun coming and going, I will believe that, oh, the sun is going round and round the earth. I will never even come to that thing that there is anything deeper. So then what happens? Then I need science to intellectually come up and deduce that no, the sun is not going around us, we are going around the sun, right? So this is an intellectual way, and then what happens? Then I see the sun, and that intellectual seeing of faith in science will tell me that, oh, the earth is going around the sun and not the sun going around the earth. So now what happens? A higher level of faith comes, which is based on that reality of what is the reality as told by that scriptures. And with your experiential understanding of that, what you see also will be overtaken by that sense of that faith. And it is not just a blind belief. It is not just a blind seeing where you're following something, because that is what his father is doing. He's trying to give away gifts with that sense of rituals, but he doesn't quite buy into that literally because he doesn't have that experiential seeing. So here Nachiketa has that experiential seeing awakening in him. And of course, our way of explaining it, this comes from previous lives or the sadhana or grace of gurus and all those aspects. That true knowledge is awakening him. That wisdom is flowering in him. And that wisdom is helping him to see things in a better way. What does he see? So now the next mantra explains what is he seeing. He is seeing that there are some cows which are given away. What are the nature of the cows? And see, here is where, like the Sanskrit, the shlokas are very precise, where if you look at, even like you see this in Patanjali Yoga Sutras and all that too, right? That few words, minimum usage of words should give you maximum meaning. The use of words has little, but the one who really understands it can unpack a lot of meaning out of this. So here he is seeing the cows, but what is the nature of those cows? The nature of the cows is pitodakaha, the first word. A cow which has drunk its last waters, meaning it has no energy anymore to drink anymore. Jagdatruna, it has finished eating, whatever meals or whatever thing. It doesn't even have that energy to eat anymore. Like sometimes the cows which are, or any animal, it is at the last stage you give it the favorite food also, it will not eat because it doesn't have that energy anymore if it is at that stage of its life. Dugdha doha, it has given its last milk, meaning it's no longer going to have any calves. It doesn't have that what you call like that. Cows are some cows which can no longer give calf, they cannot give milk. So it has reached that stage. It can no longer have any calf. It can no longer have any offsprings. Why? Because it's nirindriya. Its senses are going out, meaning it has no life energy in it. It's barely living. Of course, this is a dramatization. Meaning the cows are not in a state of being of any use. They are more of a liability for the person who takes it. So those kind of cows are being given away. But it going by the letter of the text of the yajna rules, it is okay, because he has to give away what he has. But going by the spirit of it, it is not okay, because it is of no purpose to that one to whom it is given. So this is where, this is actually a joke sometimes with monks, sannyasis, sadhus and all that, like sometimes, like of course we get some dakshina and we get some gifts or some ashrams, some places. Like sometimes what happens is like the one time, somebody, some politician, I'm just digressing a little bit just to give a spirit of it. Somebody came and gave us, all of us, a calendar, and that calendar is like, it is that annual calendar, Indian annual calendar. It starts from April to April. So he gave us in January the calendar which ends in April. you know so in other words, like, that calendar, it's probably creating too much stock in his room or in his place, so he wants to get rid of it. So what he gives to all the sadhus in the ashram. So like that, that what happens, it's like, it is not really a gift. So those kind of things is what his father is doing here. But it seems like he's doing a lot. It seems like he's giving away. He's exercising philanthropy. Now that is where he stays. What happens, and this is where that Shraddha comes in. The Shraddha enables him to really see the outcome of his father's actions. See, this is where it happens, right? Like, if sometimes, like, if you see your children or somebody is cheating in their exams, they're not studying. Or these days, of course, I heard that a lot of children use artificial intelligence to do their exam and all that. So if there is a father or somebody, he sees that, what will he say is like, I know you're doing this and you'll not benefit from this, right? Because the father has a greater insight, or he sees that he has to get a job and where he has to exercise these skills, and he has not learned properly. So that kind of seeing his son is doing here. His son, that real knowledge of scriptures is coming to him. That scriptures doesn't say giving for the sake of giving. Scriptures are saying, if you give things which cause some inconvenience to you, then only it is real giving. So this is also the trait of seva, when we do seva, like you go to some Mahatma or go to someone and all that. See, if that seva was something that which you're doing which has no inconvenience to you, then it is not really also a seva. You're doing something to get some reward, or you get some recognition, or get some kind of feeling that I'm associated with somebody, then it is not a seva. So the seva also, it will cause some inconvenience to you, but you're okay doing it because that shraddha is there, that faith is there, that kind of a clear seeing is there, that it will help me progress in spiritual life. So that kind of shraddha is awakening in him, and he sees the consequences of his father's actions. What is the consequences? Ananda namate loka. There is a land, a loka, or a place where there is no joy, where there is no happiness. Tansa gacchati tadadat. The one who gives these kind of gifts will go to that place where he will not get happiness. Meaning, it is not Swarga. That heaven that is promised in the Vedic literature is not what his father will get by doing something like this. Because the action which is rewarding has to have all the three components. Ideally, what we say, kaika, vachika, manasika. Meaning that it has to fulfill. It's not just you're doing action for the sake of action, like your hands, or you're serving somebody, cooking for somebody. It's not just that. Your mind has to also be in it, and preferably your speech also. So when all this comes together, the real reward of any action is completely obtained. Otherwise, you get some results, but that results will not fulfill you. Okay. So now the next few shlokas we will look at. Keep these two. So now, Saho Vacha Pitaram. So now the Nachiketa, what does he do? He tells his father, Uvacha, to his father. He goes and approaches his father because he cannot directly kind of tell his father, you are doing wrong. So he has to find a way, kind of a diplomatic way, or a way that his father can actually see through this. because his father is senior to him. His father is also like a teacher to him, a guru. So then he goes and tells his father, Tatha kasmai mam dasyasiti. To whom will you give me away? Because a father, a son, in a way, is a property of the father. But in reality, in this yajna doesn't entail that you have to give away your son and all that. It's mostly related to material things. But Nachiketa kind of is trying to convey that some way for his father to see that I am your property. So most likely you should also give me away then, right? So, and then out of that kind of curiosity, at the end of it, maybe you'll give me away to somebody. So whom are you going to give me away to? Are you planning to give me to somebody? That kind of way. So then what happens? He says, Dvitiyam Tritiyam Tam Hovacha. For the second time, he repeats that because his father is probably busy. There's so many people there, so many pandits, brahmanas who are gathered there. So generally, another point is these are gifts generally given to brahmanas of people who have kind of a high, knowledge, wisdom. So they are the people who are generally revered. In the Indian that class system, the Brahmanas are always the highest class, and they're generally also the ones who are the priests who do the yajnas. So to them, yeah, they are all gathered there. And when they are gathered, his father has to give attention to them, right? Because these are revered people. And his father is giving attention. Then this young boy is disturbing his father. So the first time, probably the father says, then neglects him. So then that's why the word comes, dvitiyam, second time. Meaning is already said first time and is ignored. Now the second time, dvitiyam, he repeats that. Then what? Tritiyam tam hovacha. He repeats it the third time. When he says the third time, his father retaliates. Meaning his father kind of all in the in Shankaracharya Bhashya, which we will study next time. He says this is not the behavior of a young fellow. This is not a behavior of a Kumara. Meaning a young boy is supposed to be asking for toys. A young boy is supposed to be asking for they can be obstinate. The young boys can be obstinate, but they are obstinate about things they want. Get me a bike, get me this, get me that. But this young boy is asking, saying that give me away. Whom will you give me away? And this is not a young boy. It's not like a young boy. It's all like he's almost getting intolerant at that. At his son's kind of an attitude. And then he says, Mrityuvetha dadami. I will give you to death. Like get lost or whatever, right? Like Mrityuve, to death will I give you. So this is a literal translation of that. Tva dadami, I will give you. So then, so this is what his father kind of says. Now, hearing this, a normal kid, not just kid, even an adult would actually say, oh, he's busy, he's just irritated, I troubled him too much. And he would just walk away. But he started thinking deeply. What did he start thinking? And the next shloka, you see, Bahu namemi pratamo, of many people. Like see if when we say somebody is a top person, it usually there has to be other people, at least 2-3 people. But here he's saying when there are many people, I've been the first. Meaning this is a very symbolic way of saying that I'm mostly a top student. And here, when we say it's top student, we're not saying that, this person scores ranks or he's getting this. This is remember, this is the time of Guru Shishya Parampara, meaning that teachers, a student is considered bright who is able to tune in to the teacher, who is able to, follow the teacher or understand the words of teacher and do those things even without being told. That is the highest first highest caliber of students. So Bahunamemi Pratamo, when many people are there, I feel I am like the one who gets it right, who understands the thing. And Bahunamemi Madhyamaha, if sometimes I'm not the first, then I'm the second type, meaning I at least follow the teachings, I follow the instructions, I'm able to comply with that. So this is an indication that that he's not the third category of students who doesn't follow or who retaliates or who is negligent. Like even like children also, you can say, right? Like in children also, there are children who follow their parents what they say and all that, and then some who don't. So then he says, I'm not that kind. Why is he saying that? Is that in order to deserve this kind of thing, to be sent to death, I should be like some real bad kind of boy. Then only my father would have really said something like that. But I'm not that. He kind of introspects like an honest self-assessment. Where I stand. How do I compare to others? Kimsvit yamasya kartavyam. There must be some duty that Lord of Death, and Lord of Death, his name is Yama. So this is a traditional name for the god of death. So generally, what we say by god of death is that there is a time at the moment of death that there is a specific god, or there is god means not that God with capital G. This is like lesser gods. If all of these are people working for that big God, you can say. So they have different duties. So if you put it in a much more scientific way, in nature there are different energies, right? And every energy has some way it is controlled. Like there is a certain kind of way that the what do you call, like there's some kind of a force energy that holds the earth together. There is a force that keeps water in movement. There is a force that allows that fire to burn. So all these are certain forces, and in a depiction of that in a personality way, the Vedas, or the Indian system of Vedas, they depict it as a specific god in control of each of that. So here Yama is that god. Yama is the name of that god who controls this thing of death. So death, the Lord of Death, Yama, must have some job, some duty, or some purpose. Yamasya yenmaya adya karishyati. He must have some duty for which I must be needed. See, like every god, right? Every teacher or every institute, they will need people to execute something, right? Even like a very well-known ashram or organization to spread their teachings, they will need some other people, sevaks and all helping them. And similarly, like here he's saying maybe the Lord of Death has some purpose. So, but in a much more deeper analysis of this will come through when we understand Shankaracharya's Bhashya. But important thing is how he reacts to that. That is the important point to respond. If somebody were to scold us, somebody were to say something like that to us, especially if you are with some teacher or guru and all that, and if they shout at like that, and this is what many times many students and all we see, the teacher says something harsh or nasty, they'll say, oh, okay, then I will go, I'll leave the ashram, I'll go away, I'll not see him. So that is like a general reaction. That is a common man reaction. Here he is taking that in a constructive way. So whatever he said is the belief or the shraddha here is that message which has come to me has a deeper purpose to serve. So this is where where we see that guru is not just a symbolic person. The guru manifests through different ways for us in our lives. That the phenomena, that way that is directed to us, how we take it, how the message. So like that is, this father is saying things, and he has to take it in the right, he's taking it in the right spirit, rather than personalizing it, rather than getting angry, rather than retaliating. He's saying maybe there is some deeper purpose. And what is this deeper purpose? Maybe something has to be achieved for Yama, and for which he needs somebody. So that is his way of processing this. Okay, so we will for today look at this, and then the next few shlokas will go through that. And of course, for now we are, important thing is, like, those of you who want to revise, or those of you who want to study these Upanishads properly, see here importantly is, like, you try to first understand those the words, like, if not literally, at least the meaning of the words you have to understand. And then the second thing is that those translation by itself, they are there, they will give you a meaning. But how do you unpack that? How do you get a deeper understanding? One level of deeper understanding is to rely on Bhashya, the commentary and all that. But also a deeper thing is, like, as we go through this is a constant process of self-study and self-introspection for us. So this is what the real purpose of study. It is not like just, I learned this and then I have to go apply this for executing some work. No, here is we are executing and applying it with ourselves. So we have to use all these things, the attitude of Nachiketa, and how the background of this is put, and how can it help us? Because we are interested in Brahma Vidya, the highest knowledge, the highest wisdom. And in the process of learning, if we have to imbibe also that attitude of that right student, the understanding of a right student. So this is how, the right way to introspect, to do mananam.